Hey guys, and welcome in. How's everybody doing tonight? How's everybody doing? Hopefully, you guys are having a great Sunday. Great Sunday. Hopefully, you had a great weekend. But welcome in. Welcome in. If this is your first time here, hi, hello. My name's Tanya or Titanium Built, and welcome to the channel. We do talk all things true crime here. So if that's something that you're into, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, all the fun things that we ask you to do. I'm not gonna have my camera on today, but I usually do have my camera on, but I'm not gonna have my camera on tonight. I always like to let you guys know in the beginning if I am or not. Maybe I'll pop one. You never know. But welcome in, Jan B people up in Jan. She's the first as far as I can see. Look at that, beating everybody in here. But I think that Mary Beth might have been in here first since she said Mary Beth with a heart. Hey, Mary Beth, welcome in. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, Pooh Bear. Hey, welcome in, Lisa. Hi, everybody. Hey, Catherine with the K. In case we see Catherine with the C, you never know. Hey, Lenora. Ladybug's in here. Hey, DM. Hey, Mr. Rosebud. Welcome in, everybody. Hey, Pooh Bear. I'm just floating down towards the bottom. Hey, L Beam. Hey, Citizen Sleuth. Welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you guys. I saw somebody was talking about allergies, sinus allergies, and I feel you, and I am so sorry that you have sinus allergies. I have them as well all the time. All the time. But we're going to talk about Sarah Boone tonight because it's been a couple of days, and she's a hot commodity right now. She put out her if you aren't caught up with on your information about Sarah Boone, she did put out a new ad for an attorney. She wants she just, she needs someone. I think she's starting to realize it. But I'll get to that in just a moment. I'll go ahead and let you guys kind of get settled in. You were first. Cheryl said I was first. That's so funny. Cheryl, you used to always be first. You usually are first though. But sometimes people they sneak in quick. They get in here and I'm like, before Cheryl, what? Oh, is your neighbors not doing so well that with the stroke? Did he pass away or is he just where he needs help? Because if you need some advice, I could try to give you some on well, I guess either way, if she's lost or not. My mom lost her husband, and I'm telling you what, when you're I don't know how I don't know how my mom got through it, but it took my mom 6 years before she could say my father's name without crying. So is that what did the husband die? Because I thought he just had a stroke. Sorry. Everyone in the chat's probably like, what's going on? We have just a little bit of a thing going here. I'm invested. in Mary Beth's neighbors. Yeah, let me know. Yeah, let me know if you need anything, Mary Beth. She's staying with us temporarily. So did he die? Oh Lordy. All you can do, there's nothing you can say, really. But you can be there. What you're doing it. Yeah, man. Oh man. I'm sorry, Mary Beth. Yeah. What you're doing right now, you're doing it. Just being there for her. That's so sad. I'm so sorry. You're gonna make me cry. I'm already been crying. That's what I'm like. I'm already been in a mood. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. That's really I don't want to cry because I feel like I'll ugly cry if I start trying to think. I'm trying to think of what you can man, those smashing rooms where you can take people, you could go places and you smash everything in the room. Look one of those up and see if you live near one of those places. Because I know that my mom would have loved to have smashed some stuff up. She just had so much, guilt, anger, love, all the emotions, were flowing through her. She would have loved to have done that. And the only thing you can do is just be there for her. Just make sure she's eating. even if she doesn't want to eat, make sure she's sleeping, man. But Mary Beth, if I was in her shoes, I would want you as my neighbor. I definitely would want you as my neighbor. Because you would just be, I know you're doing all the things. I know you're doing all the things. Punching bags. There we go. That could work, Tammy. That's what, because sometimes you just have this frustration that comes. I mean, it's that anger, that anger phase. That anger phase. I know my mom went through it. My mom was 50. My dad was 47, so 56. My mom was about 56, I think, when my dad died, something like that. 56. Very young, too young. Too young. It's always too young, though, when you lose. You know what I mean? I was just thinking this earlier. It's so sad. I was thinking earlier, I was like, me and Vincent better go the same time, like the damn Notebook, because, I'd be a mess. But tell her we are all praying for her. We're all praying for her. So thank you guys again for being here. I do appreciate it so very much. Let me know. Make sure I think you can hear me okay. I usually never have to ask you guys, but my little bubble didn't look like it was bouncing as much. So the last live that we went over with Sarah Boone, we saw this here. This was her new, she made this herself. She's got some talent there. That's probably where I bet you her painting skills came in handy. But this was her ad that she wants to put out there. She wants them to put this out in the sheriff's lobby, the sheriff station lobby. And it says, inmate seeks attorney. Looking for a prosperous challenge? Ready for your close-up on national television? Are you zealous with a side of keen? Show the world who you are with your original creativity, extraordinary expertise, confident ingenuity. Qualifications must include being trustworthy, honest, passion-driven, open-minded, exceptional problem-solving skills, client inclusion at all times, team orientation, cooperation, extreme efficiency in listening, communicating, understanding, dedication to success, possessing a winning mindset, capable of excellence and representation, maintaining faith in the client and case with the ability to think differently, overcome all circumstances. It says overcome all circumstances. It'll be like, they'll be reading the verdict back and it says guilty. And then she'll look at her lawyer and be like, I thought you said, I told you all circumstances. Just pretty funny. Epic opportunity awaits. Sarah Boone, her handwriting is superb in this. I will say that. Not like her letters. To inmate number 200005623. I might have said another zero, but I think there was 3. Orange County Corrections Department, invest in the oppressed. Oh my God. Who said that first? I don't know who said it first, but that sounds like something that she shouldn't be using. Maybe she did make it. Let's see. Who did she make it up? Let me see. Nope. The only thing that's close is something from Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah, she's not oppressed. I know. I'm like, I don't think she should be really using the word oppressed, but okay. Okay, there's Sarah Boone. Hey, Wiz, how you doing? Man, Sarah Boone. Oh, Sarah Boone. Okay. She went to court. So what we'll do tonight, she went to court and we're going to listen to that. She's her own attorney. So she had lots of questions, which the judge kept saying, hey, I can't give you the law. Like, I can't give you legal aid here. I can't give you questions to your answers because you're your own lawyer. You chose this by fault, because You had 8 that you went through. That's crazy. So let's go over to this page. Look at all the Sarah Boone content on this side. It's crazy. That's a lot of Sarah Boone content. I'll play it at regular speed. We might be able to. Oh my! Look at her eyes. Oh my Lord! Look at that look. Wow! I didn't see that in the beginning. Look at that look. Look at her eyes. Those are scary. Those are scary, 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 scary eyes. In her birthday suit. We all know the shenanigans that go on in that house on a lazy Sunday afternoon. That's so funny, Squeaky. I'm actually like, I'm in a robe and everything else. I'm in my big old robe. I love robes. I'm so glad they're back in style now. I don't know how they got out of style, but I see a lot of people wearing them again. So I'm considering them back in style. Okay, that face is scary. So this is her court hearing. We'll speed it up if it's a little slow. I'm not sure if it is or not. We'll put it to 125. And we'll put the closed captions on. Oh,
Cacciatore on behalf of the state.
Ms. Boone, good morning. Could you please raise
There
your
we
right
go.
hand so
Okay.
Madam Clerk can swear you in?
Yes.
Ma'am, good morning. Can you state your name and date of birth for the record for me?
Sarah Boone, 10-10-77.
I have the volume up all the way that it'll go. If you guys need, I don't know if you need like any headphones or anything like that. I can hear pretty well, but I didn't know if you guys could.
We also have a representative from Prison Break Investigation. Sir, if you could come forward, please. If you could, sir, raise your right hand. Madam Clerk's going to go ahead and swear you in. Sir, good morning. Could you state your name for the record?
Billy Lane.
And Mr. Lane, what's your affiliation with Prison Break Investigations?
I'm the owner and chief investigator.
Okay, very good. The reason the court had this hearing this morning is the court has found that Ms. Boone has forfeited her right to counsel and waived her right to counsel alternatively by virtue of her conduct in this case. As such, Ms. Boone is currently representing herself. The court has been working diligently to provide you the discovery. I received your letter, ma'am, and I have reviewed it. We have not forgotten about you. It's just taken some time in order to coordinate the appropriate processes with the jail. In conversations with the jail, a laptop has been secured and will be issued to you after USB drives are provided with all the discovery. Upon the jail's receipt of those items, the following provisions will be adhered to. The laptop, charging cable, and USB devices will be kept in the FDC main control room when not in use.
Just want to pause it really quick. So I just want to let y'all know what's going on right here. This judge is going up. I'm looking at my camera. Is going above and beyond what he really has to be doing, right? So instead of what it's going to come down is the jail, it does not want 4 years worth of discovery in their house, in the jail. They don't want that. They don't want that. So this judge precluded, like he got a USB drive with all of her info on it, and he secured her a laptop and a charger that's going to be able, she's going to be able to have access to it like all day, pretty much like the whole day. Like it's not just a couple hours. It's like for 8 hours or 10 hours a day. And she's going to have it like to herself, no one can use it but her. And she's still going to have a problem with it.
Use at no time will
That's exactly that's what I mean, Groovy Nikki. They normally don't get laptops. Like he's going so much above and beyond for her because she's representing herself and she doesn't have a lawyer. That he doesn't have to be doing all this, but he does do it.
the charging cord be placed in the housing unit. Upon the return of the laptop to the FDC main control, the laptop will be placed on the charging cable to ensure it is available for the next day's usage. The laptop and USB device is to be accounted for with the control room inventory. The control room DST or CO will make logbook entries for the issuing and returning the USB device and laptop. The dorm officer will make logbook entries for the receiving and returning of these items to the applicable movement officer. A notebook entry will be completed in IMS for every issuance of the laptop and USB device to inmate Boone. The laptop and USB device will be available daily to you, Ms. Boone, between 0800 and 1600 hours. A notebook entry will be completed in IMS for every issuance of the laptop and USB device to yourself, Ms. Boone. The discovery.
Raise your hand if you've ever been to jail and you got 8 hours on a laptop.
Was provided at the court previously and is in the two bankers boxes that are in front of the court to your left, Mr. Lane. I'm going to order you, sir, to take possession and custody of that discovery that was provided to the court previously on June 28, 2024. You, through Prison Break investigations, shall copy all of the discovery onto as many USB dump drives as necessary. The Judicial Administration Commission for the state of Florida shall be responsible for the fees and costs due to Prison Break investigations for copying all of the discovery onto as many USB jump drives as necessary. You will appear for a hearing with the court on August 1st, 2024 at 8:45 in courtroom 12A of the Orange County Courthouse with the discovery and all USB jump drives containing the discovery. A representative from the Orange County Jail shall also appear for that hearing as well. At that point in time, Prison Break Investigations shall hand deliver all USB jump drives containing the discovery to the representative from the Orange County Jail in order to be placed onto the laptop that is currently secured and to be issued to the defendant for all trial and court preparation. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
I have a conflict for August 1st, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm going to be out of state from Tuesday until Friday next week, which I believe is the conference August 1st for my son's wedding.
Okay, well, congratulations. When do you return from your son's wedding, sir?
I will be back late Friday evening, so I'll be available the following week.
Okay, will you be able to complete that task by that time?
Yes, sir. I'll do my best.
Okay, sir, we will see you on give me a second, let me check the date. Monday, August 5 at 8:45. Okay, you'll be given a copy of the order that I just read from. Ms. Boone, you'll also be given a copy of the order. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh God.
I am thoroughly
Why? You know that he has to instantly regret that when he asks that question, right? Do you have any questions for me? Like I know he has to ask it. It's kind of like in customer service, you kind of have to ask stuff that you don't want to ask, like, like, how are you doing? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But like you just like to be polite and to, so things can go accordingly and she can't come back and say, well, I had a question. But I mean, now he has to listen to her questions. Now, listen, this could have been a 4-minute and 43-second hearing, right? If she would have just said no questions, Your Honor. But she did not.
confused. Was a notice ever put online for this or mailed to anyone? I don't even know why Mr. Lane is here. I don't know why I'm here.
Well, ma'am, you are now representing yourself, and previously you had requested to appear at every hearing that was held. As you are
per your 58-page letter, Boone, you said, I want to be there for everything.
now representing yourself, the court cannot have any hearings regarding your case without you being here. I put on the record and explained to you the process
Right,
that
Ms. Rosebud?
the court has had with communications with
Don't
the jail.
tempt me with a good
I'm not
time.
allowed to look at any of that. I'm not allowed to copy any of that. So in speaking with the jail
Amber.
and understanding that you still have a private investigator that was provided to you through the state, that's being compensated by the state, you're still allowed to utilize his services. The protections of the attorney-client privilege are still applicable to him. So he's able to review any of these documents, ensure that they are safely copied without violating any terms of the privileges.
This is like her private investigator, and this is how she's talking to him.
Those will then be placed on multiple USB drives and provided to you. Those USB drives will then be uploaded to a computer that has been secured for you at the jail for you to access all of that information.
Okay. My question is, was a notice of hearing posted or mailed to anyone to where apparently the news crews obviously got it? How is it that I do not know anything about this other than my bunk being kicked at 3 o'clock in the morning telling me I have court?
Ma'am, I have
Why did the news crews know before Boone? She said, and why did I have, they kicked her bunk at 3 a.m. I'm sorry, but she did this to herself. Jorge, I'm doing this for you, buddy. But her bunk was kicked at 3 a.m. She was sleeping like a baby too, because she could sleep in jail after being there for 4 years. So she's sleeping, and they kicked her bunk, and they said, "You got court tomorrow, Boone."
no other way to get in touch with you other than setting the hearing, which was set yesterday once I received confirmation from the jail as to the processes for how this would work. And I understand that your case is important, and I want to move it as efficiently, as diligently as possible. I know that you've been waiting for this information, and it took some time to confirm the process with the jail. You've advised me that you have very limited space. You have almost no privacy. You have a small drawer where you can keep some personal effects. We could not send all of those boxes with you to the jail, and the jail advised me that they cannot take all those boxes. A process had to be created to make sure, and this is the process.
The process that I was explained after speaking to a couple of sergeants, and
So the process that she says this is her own. They just made this process for her, especially for her because she's a crying baby, right? And she's saying, "Well, I talked to a couple of sergeants. Let's see what the sergeant said."
I've been waiting for that, and I would much rather prefer a hard copy of these to where I can write on them as opposed to anything that's on a laptop.
I'm unable
She wants all that paper, baby. You better cut down half the trees in Florida for 4 years worth of paperwork. She wants to be able to write on it. What are those notebooks? I got one. Rocket book. Get her a rocket book.
to provide that for you. I have been provided the process has been provided to me by the Orange County Jail. I understand that's your
So those sergeants that you talk to, this is their process.
preference, but I can't do anything more than what I've done right now.
I understand. And I have had other information given to me, which is why I've been waiting for the boxes for them. So I don't know, is this something that I need to pursue continuously still for me to be able to receive my hard copies? Because no one tells me.
Hard
anything.
copy.
I cannot answer that question because that may call for me providing you legal advice, which I am prohibited from doing.
You're receiving a hard copy. It's just in the form of electronic transfer there. It's on a USB. It's just not going to be on your paper. I know I hate it too. I love to print out the internet myself, Sarah Boone, but there comes at a time and a place and an age where you just can't print the internet out anymore.
Okay, well, because I have no other way of contacting you other than in a letter, and it's AKA worldwide. So am I supposed to go back and speak to the captain and whoever else it is that I might need to speak to in order to receive these?
Again, I cannot answer that question. All I can tell you is that we will have a hearing on August 5, whereby which Prison Break Investigations will provide all of the information on USB drives. Those will be provided to a representative from the Orange County Jail, who will place all that information on a laptop for you to use, and that's accessible for your use from 0800 to 1600 every day.
Right. Okay, so I guess I will figure that out, because if I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can't utilize the laptop, which is another reason why I was looking forward to the hard copies. So
In the
my other
morning.
question is my time program?
Okay, so if you wake up in the middle of the night and you have a question, you want to see one of your hard copies, guess what you do, Boone? You write down your damn question, and then in the next morning, when you get your computer at 800 hours, which is 8 o'clock in the morning or something, then you can do it. Then you can look it up.
Rated for the time that I've been waiting for my discovery?
Oh, I'm
I'm not
prorated.
sure I understand what that means.
Well, laptop, which is another
Listen.
reason why I was looking forward to the hard copies. So my other question is my time prorated for the time that I've been waiting for my discovery?
I'm not sure I understand what that means.
Will I be having additional time added, or will it be extended?
I'm
for the
sorry.
Period of me waiting for my discovery still.
She wants to know if it's prorated. We're prorating stuff. Are we get extended things now? No.
I'm not in a position to answer that question. I don't know what it is that you're asking for.
My pretrial is supposedly set for September 24th, I believe it is. So obviously I will not be prepared. And obviously I do not know what I'm doing. And obviously I'm still waiting for my discovery. So for that time period that I've been waiting for almost 4 weeks now, will that be added to the time frame in order for me to be properly prepared?
As of right now, the dates are what the dates are, ma'am.
Okay, so I just missed a week, a month.
The dates are what the dates are.
So I also sent you, I believe, 5 motions. Have you received those?
No, ma'am, I have not. The
They were
only,
mailed last week.
then I
5
have not received it.
motions.
The last correspondence I got from you, ma'am, was received on July 8th.
5 motions I've mailed. They're probably sitting wherever else it is, considering it takes a day for you all to receive my mail, considering I'm right down the street from you all. So I have those also in order, which may change whatever information or anything that I'm trying to acquire in between now, the month less that I have in order to
Boone. Okay, the mail system, it works as the mail system works, okay?
prepare for my trial. That's in October. So if you could keep an eye out for those also. I don't know who I'm supposed to ask. How did Mr. Lane come into any of this? Like, how was he called?
Mr. Lane has been your investigator in this case, and he was advised to attend this morning's hearing by virtue of being provided the discovery in order to digitize it so that you can have access to it.
The court contacted him?
I did not contact him.
Am I allowed to speak to him directly?
You can.
Mr. Lane, who contacted you in order for you to be here, please?
JA.
If I'm pro se and my own attorney, shouldn't I be included in all of this so I know what's going on and not a surprise hearing like it is again for the second time?
Ma'am, again, this is why there were benefits to being represented by counsel. The court has already identified in its 16-page order the reasons for why you no longer have those benefits.
Right. Which
It
is
makes things
malformed.
exceptionally more difficult, as I explained to you, in communicating with the court and communicating with the state attorney's office.
Isn't that what a certificate of service is for anything that's filed by anybody in the court?
There
That
was,
should be included in that.
ma'am, there was no certificate of service for setting this. for today. This was coordinated by the JA. You were advised as soon as it was set. It was set yesterday.
It's just very odd to me that the news knew about it before I did.
Again, I can't speak to that.
And so nonetheless, my constitutional right to counsel is being forfeited on your behalf in the court. So that I
Forfeited.
don't get appropriate notice in preparation for me to be able to be here and doing what I'm supposed to be doing and act as and perform as.
I've already addressed the reasons, ma'am, for why there was a forfeiture and alternatively a waiver in the 16-page order that you were provided. Again, it's difficult to communicate with you based on where your current housing is. I'm not able to pick up the phone. The judicial assistant's not able to pick up the phone to communicate with you or send you an email to schedule certain things. And it leaves a little bit of a level of further complication.
How is it the news knows before I do?
You keep asking the same question and the answer is going to be the same. I cannot answer that question for you because I do not know.
Because the news is sneaky, Boone. We're sneakier than you thought, Boone. Look at her. Look at her. She mad. Look at her pursed lips. She's like, I didn't. I'll tell them that they could know first. And she thinks she's gonna like sell her story or something, right? Boone, I'm gonna sell your story. Yeah, I said it. I'm going to sell your story while you are here and right now. I'm going to sell your story while you are at trial. I am going to sell your story while you are at sentencing. And then after that, I'm going to be done with you. Just like Letitia, just like Lori Vallow, just like all the rest of them before you. You're not that important.
But you do know it's harder for me.
I would agree with that, yes.
And you do know that you did not ask me any questions in regards to your order. You just read it straight off and never asked me what's what or how many with anything of it.
Ma'am, if you have questions, I can certainly try to answer them. I'm trying to facilitate you getting that information that you're certainly entitled to. And it took time for a process to be created by the Orange County Jail. As they had advised me, they do not have a place to store 2 bankers' boxes of information, nor are they in a position to provide you physical copies. This is what I've been advised as the process is. As soon as that process was finalized, I set the hearing. This was finalized yesterday.
No one ever asks me. I've been waiting for the boxes. I really don't know what to say. And because
You're not getting the
I have
boxes.
no way to contact you other than a letter, and the same for you. I don't know how the news crews got here before I did, but I don't know.
For the 4th time.
How is it that I'm supposed to be able to communicate with you other than me sitting here in front of you at these, I guess, supposed surprise hearings that I'm going to have every single time that it is that you would like to speak to me? Is that what it's going to be?
Ma'am, I cannot answer that question. All I can tell you is that you could communicate with the court through the avenues that you've been utilizing previously by and through letter writing. As I said, I do not have your letters that you sent last week. They're not in the court file, and they were not in my inbox yesterday. So as soon as I receive them, I will diligently review them. And if we have to set a hearing, you'll be properly noticed for it.
And the certificate of service.
You'll be properly noticed for it. Yes, ma'am.
And will there be a proper notice for
A certificate of service sounds like a car. Like you just got your car serviced. I've never heard of a certificate of service. Now that's something new. I think she's making up stuff and he's going along with it. I think she's meaning like saying like a sort like a letter saying that they're having the notice, like a notice of a hearing.
today?
Notice was performed last night. I've already
Am I allowed to
explained.
ask the news crews how they got here?
No, ma'am, I'm not going to let you do that. They're not under.
Okay, I think that's the 5th or 6th time she mentioned the news crews. I love it. Man, what part of Florida is this in? I need to go to Florida. I mean, is anyone living near her that I could hang out with for a little bit? Because I would love to go to opening statements and have something like a JLR shirt that just says press across the front of it. You know what I mean? I think that'd just be funny.
Oath, they're not a party to this action right now.
It's wrong and it's unfair.
You're certainly entitled to that opinion.
You know what's wrong and unfair? Being zipped into a suitcase thinking that your girlfriend, your loved one, the one that you love and trust was going to let you out. In my opinion.
I'm allowed to ask him a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Lane, how is it that you and I are supposed to be speaking to one another?
So my suggestion would be, since you're now the attorney and you are pro se, that either you or your honor gives me access to the jail to come visit with you, and I'll be happy to do that. It is the policy of the Orange County Jail to have a letter represented from an attorney to allow me to access you. That's the reason for the past previous couple of attorneys have not had the ability to come out and access you, but that's changed. And I'll be happy to continue to move forward with any investigative actions that can be for defense as long as I get that access.
So you need a letter from me,
or the judge or the jail, somebody that will allow me access to you. Yes, ma'am.
and I send it to you directly?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a letter also that you'll be supplying to him?
I don't know that I'm in a position to compel the Orange County Jail to do anything,
But you are the ones who contacted him.
but I can't tell the jail, let this person come talk to you. If they have a policy where you need to provide the letter, then you need to provide the letter.
So until you have that letter, you and I will not be able to speak with one another?
I will contact the jail myself and find out if there's an extension for pro se, or maybe they can speak to you directly.
Oh yeah, Winter Park. I knew that. I don't know. I'm skeptical, Rob, but I knew that.
And do you
Yeah.
have any other questions?
So she'd be jailed in Orlando. Okay.
I don't want to spend
Orlando.
enough
Let
time.
me see. Do I
I'm
know
just doing my
anybody?
best, and if you
My-
could just keep an
my-
eye out for my motions.
I will be on the lookout for them. You said there were 5, correct?
Yes.
I will be on.
My aunt and uncle live in Port Charlotte. I wonder how far from Orlando that is. I can't remember. Probably far with my luck.
But please include me on the certificate of service for whatever hearings that we have that are no longer a surprise for me, please.
Understood. You'll be given a copy of the court's order that I read momentarily, and I will see you both on August 5 at 8:45 in the morning. All right. Thank you all very much. Mr. Cacciatore, anything further, sir?
Nothing from the state.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day. Oh, wait, before you leave, that is all going to be yours. Yes, I would, sir, so that you can begin the digitization process.
She ain't done yet.
All right. I'll see you on the phone.
She ain't done yet.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Yes. Damn, I'm just.
Still ain't done. Look at her. She's like all up in that conversation. Get out of here. Boone.
Sir, can you just hang out for a second?
They talk, but it's I can't read their lips. I can't read their lips. So yeah. Sorry guys, my eyes were itching. I must have like allergies myself. 171 miles. Man, I wonder if my uncle's gotten a new car yet. My aunt actually lives down there too, but she lives in it's a really richy area. Boca Raton. Couldn't think of it for a minute until I said richy area. She's always lived in really affluent kind of areas though. The smug look, I know that's why I want to go, Callie Dime. I want to go with the big old press shirt on because I think she thinks she's going to be able to sell her own story, which you can't sell your story if you're convicted from one and foremost. We all know she's going to be convicted. There is, I mean, unless, I mean, Jorge rises up again. I mean, literally, what else would it take for her to be able to walk out of there? I mean, they would have to really just screw this case. And I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to do that. The officers in this case they've done their due diligence. They've recorded everything. Her interrogation was live. So I was going back through and I saw, remember the other night we watched, well, it's like a couple weeks ago, we watched Sebastian Rogers. It was the behavioral parent panel. They went over like Sebastian's mom and stepdad, their interview, and they just like talked about the body language and what they interpreted and from, their body language. Well, when we were done watching that episode, it like shows you other episodes. And I saw that they had done a couple on Sarah Boone. And I was like, oh, this is going to be funny. So I thought we would play the first one that they ever did of her. And it's going to be over the one where she was outside of her apartment complex. So the one where she's like drinking out of the spigot, she called, it's the day after, Jorge was found in the suitcase. She called her ex-husband before she called police. She was doing all the things. There she is right there. Look at her. She's like, oh, what did I do? But I thought we would go through this because I thought it would be pretty funny to see what they thought about her and to see what they say about her. Because I'm pretty sure they probably think the same as we do. Hey, DeMama. Oh, and Ashley, I meant to say hi to you earlier when you said coming in late forever ago. I meant to say hey. And welcome in, everybody. Yeah, Carolina. Yeah, she's something else, isn't she? I'm just reading. A miracle, yeah. She can plead insanity, but she won't get it. She won't get it. She ain't that crazy. Like, she's pretty crazy, but she's not that crazy. You know what I mean? Like, she's calculated enough in these interviews. I mean, coherent enough, I would say, that they wouldn't give it to her. And I'm sure that they've done a lot of testing on her as well. So we'll listen to these guys for a little bit and see what they have to say about old Sarah Boone.
The police arriving on the scene and then detectives later, the first set of videos. So what we're going to see is her first reaction to law enforcement showing up. There's nothing dramatic. We don't even know what comes of her as a result of this set of videos. So that's what we got.
Them has to, so this might be a real thing. So each of them has to put their name.
Normally I just put everybody.
What's going on? I just got here, so fill me in.
No problem. Like, he and I put a puzzle together. We've been doing some artwork together.
You are putting a puzzle together?
Yes, we have a puzzle that we started in there.
Okay.
We've been doing art, trying to take the stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay.
So then it's like, we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase. Okay.
Who is this guy?
That's my ex-husband, my former husband.
How did he live here with you guys?
No, I called him over here.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So then he came over here.
Here, let's talk in private, okay?
I called.
Do you think she still does something for her ex-husband if she's calling him? But look at them sandals he's wearing. I don't know. Y'all. I'm just kidding. I like them kind of sandals. They're comfy.
You guys. I tried giving him CPR. The problem is, I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes.
It's 1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him and I took him out and I tried doing CPR and then I called him and then I called you guys.
Did he get here before the fire department got here?
Who?
Your husband or your
Yes.
ex-husband?
Yes.
Okay. Where does he live at?
Right down the street.
Okay. So you were playing and you dipped him up in.
I did, but then I fell asleep.
Okay. You're okay. I wasn't here. I'm just trying to figure out what
I
happened.
fell asleep, so I don't know if he's suffocated or like had an aneurysm or a heart attack or
What
what.
kind of medical conditions does he have?
And none that I know of.
Nothing that you know of.
None
You
that
didn't
I
take
know
any
of.
medicine
No.
last night?
No.
No medicine.
All we had was a bottle of wine. Literally, just a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Doing puzzle artwork. Then we decided to play hide and seek.
Mhm.
That's all that happened.
Okay.
So I don't know if he had a heart attack or what in there. Like, I don't know what happened.
So how long were you doing CPR on him prior to you calling 911? You tried that all morning?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I called him while I was
What
doing
time
CPR.
did you start? Probably give me a rough ballpark. Here, let me fill this deputy in, okay?
Please, may I have my Dr. Pepper? I am
Hold on,
so
one
caught
second,
mouth
one
right now.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah. So in the time that we are looking at, this is her first contact with the police. Now, one of the things that you always
I'm
know
so
is that
hot
people are
now.
not accustomed to dealing with police officers because they don't know the difference between a patrolman and a detective, and they start feeding information. The reason I have this true crime workshop thing up is that's exactly the whole approach in true crime workshop. We talk about that very difficult time for people to know the difference. So
Yeah. When she's talking to that person in that uniform, that woman, that lady, that saint that I think she is a saint. She's telling her stuff, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. She's not the detective.
when the first cop shows up, she starts feeding information to that cop like that's the investigator. When in fact, most of the time that cop's going to try to pick up a few details and secure the area and wait for the officer in charge of the detective to come in and start asking.
So sorry, I'm not gonna, I'll promise I won't, I won't pause it again for a while. I did put a little bit of the postmortem examination. It said that it revealed that he died of positional asphyxiation, which I knew that. So I don't know why I said I hadn't seen it, but I still haven't seen the actual autopsy report though. It just says the report also revealed that Torres had alcohol in his system at the time of death. Boone told investigators that she and Torres drank alcohol during the night and passed out in her bed before letting her boyfriend out of the suitcase where he would later die, according to court records. So I'm going to keep looking for the actual document because I want to see the document. I like seeing documents.
The right questions. Immediately she starts, it sounds like a bad 911 call. She starts clearing instead of, we talk about steering versus clearing. Steering you to the solution means that I want this solved. Clearing means, hey, I didn't do anything wrong. Now, does that mean that a person's guilty? Well, clearly we know she was involved with this, so she's going to try to get out of it as much as she can. When she's talking about what they were doing, there's a lot of illustrators. If I were the cop, I would say, hold on a minute. How'd somebody get in a suitcase would be my first question. But that's not what she asked. She does a great job of continuing to ask, even though it looks like something that is hard, that's almost impossible to believe that a person is in a suitcase. So when she starts to talk, then she rattles along. Oh, it was art, it was this, non-pertinent information, things that had nothing to do with a guy dying. But when she gets to the crux of the matter about getting in the suitcase, she eye blocks. And so then and she does a qualifier. She says, we decided to play hide and seek. I don't know how getting in a suitcase is hide and seek. You know where somebody's at for sure. I don't know what you'd call that. I think there's a whole lot of questions I'd want to ask if I were sitting here. You see that burp? That could be gastric distress from the stress, but it's highly likely that it's a hangover because she says, I'm cotton mouth. She talks all through this thing about how she's feeling. The crux of her story, though, is where she gets really animated. When she says, I fell asleep, and she's really animated, that's what she's trying to do, is to get that message across more than any other part of this, more than any other part. And you can see that desperation in her face and in her voice because the story isn't working like she wanted it to. The woman's asking her questions that she was not wanting to get out. She gets emphatic. And then she does this thing where she starts to draw her hands in. Her hands start to draw up. And that's usually, when I look at somebody whose hands are doing that, I've seen it a few times in my life, in real life, and under high duress, people's hands will ball up and they'll curl up in the floor. But your hands are becoming useless to you when you are curling your fingers together. And the only way I can equate that is I don't have the tools to do this. I think I've heard.
Normally, if you're recoiling like that, that means you're like trying to shut yourself off from somebody. That's what I've always heard in body language anyway. Like if you're, more like inward, just kind of like putting your body inward, that's like shows that's what they say as a sign of like trying to deflect or trying to not let anybody in, close.
Lena Cisco call it the claw of something, claw of deception or something like that. That's her words for it. So seeing a person's hands do this is an interesting one. Then she introduces this vanishing perpetrator chase. There's no vanishing perpetrator here. I think she's bringing the perpetrator to the dance early when she says, we drank a bottle of wine, that was all. She's got some residual emotion that looks good when she shows shock and fear and all that stuff. We always say truthful people show when something has happened. And I'm not going to take the rest of this. There's a whole lot of stuff in here. She tries to edit as she's speaking. She throws out those words, just individual words like puzzles, artwork. Something's going on. And then when the woman validates her story and said, you did CPR all morning? Yes. She jumps on to validate it. Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you on all those points. The one thing that really stood out to me in this clip here is that the story is completely chronological. And this is a huge red flag, but there's an exception to this. If you say, walk me through everything that happened, and you tell them to be chronological, you can't call that a red flag. She was not suggested to do this. So that would be a pretty big red flag. Most stories for investigators, most stories after any huge incident will start with the incident, or that will have the center stage, not the entire lead up in the story. So the emotional spikes are usually at the beginning. And then she starts offering possible medical conditions, possible causes of death, injecting more ambiguity into the situation. And I think the story is prearranged and rehearsed, and every detail is added in there. She gets offended when she's asked when she started doing CPR. And this video clip alone would have me believing that there was deception and that I am probably talking to the suspect. If I was that officer taking those notes, I would think just because of this one clip, I am talking to my prime suspect right here, just based on those couple of things. Scott, what do you got?
All right. This is the classic first encounter with a suspect, or the suspect with the police. The officer goes over the discovery of the body and all the information she can gather at that point, all the things that Greg talked about. Everything in here is so classic. Everybody's going to cover these. So, Mark, I won't take the rest of them that everybody else has. And I'll briefly go over some of the other things. Like Greg was saying, she covers things that have nothing to do with what happened. When you get there, this is basically the 911 call, sort of, or her version of it, or another version of it. And going back to the burp where Greg talked about where she burps, we've seen that before on the guy from the Jinx. What was that guy's name?
Durst.
Oh yeah, Durst. Yeah. So I think her stomach's. I think you're right, Greg. It could be from a hangover. It could be from one bottle of wine. Oh no, that would happen.
Okay.
So yeah. So I think that they could probably be that, or when as she's lying, it's starting to dawn on her how much trouble she's going to be in. So her stomach may be getting upset a little bit and may start turning a little bit on her. Let's talk about blink rate just a little bit. Her blink rate It slows down, it speeds up, it slows down, it speeds up. And there are several theories about why our blink rate speeds up. And one of the ones that I always lean toward is the Joe Navarro theory, where he talks about how it goes back to how we were animals on the Serengeti, back a long time ago. And when our limbic system pops off because something's chasing us or getting ready to chase us, we see a tiger or some animal's getting ready to get us. Our heart rate jumps up, our breathing rate goes up, and we start to make sure our eyes are clean because they start getting dry because everything starts drying up as your heart beats faster, preparing all your muscles to start running. And I think and I agree with Joe when he says he thinks that's more of like a window cleaning situation, like a windshield wiper, to make sure your eyes are clean and clear, so you'll see what all's going on around you when you start running, you'll have a better chance of getting away. Then she explains.
I hate to see her run.
We were playing hide and go seek to the problem of what happens is that she fell asleep. And I'm with Greg. I don't know what kind of game you're playing where you're going to talk somebody into getting into a suitcase and then letting them zip it up. That's crazy talk. And how's that hide and seek where you know where they're hiding? There's no.
Well, she had to convince him to get in there and let her zip him up. Scott, because he was in the suitcase and he was zipped up. If you want to know my personal opinion on how he got into the suitcase, this is how I think it went down. I think that the suitcase was downstairs and maybe they were having some drinks and they were laughing and giggling and having a time. And maybe they were playing hide and go seek at one point. But I think at one point in the night, they saw the suitcase and one of them brought it up about, like, would you fit in a suitcase? I've had the conversation before. I mean, before the Sarah Boone trial, like, I don't know why it came up and I never put myself into the suitcase at that time, but I have talked about like, oh, would I fit into, am I small enough to fit into inside a suitcase? Like, cause I used to be a pretty small girl. Well, I think that's how it started. They were playing a game, and so I think Sarah got in the suitcase first. I think she got in the suitcase. Maybe Jorge, they're all like giggling, laughing. They're having a heck of a time. Maybe he even zips it up, and zips her up in it. But Jorge is a little different. He unzips it. I think that's what happens. I think she gets out and then she goes, now you try. I bet you can't fit. And that's when he gets in because he sees no threat here. I just did it to her. She trusted me. This is like the trust game, And then he got in there and then she said, okay, now let me try to zip it with you because I let you zip it with me. One of those deals. And then she zipped it on up. And then she decided, nah, I'm not going to let you out. That's how I think it happened anyway. Well, you guys let me know. Because he had to have gotten in there somehow, and he died of positional asphyxiation. That means he was in a position for a certain amount of time and he couldn't get air to breathe while he in the position he was in.
Hiding there, and there's no seeking there, except him, I guess, seeking a way out. It's corny, but there's a lot more in there, but I'll leave some for you, Mark.
Yeah. Look, so I would say pretty immediately, this is the person, this is the perpetrator. Just like you say, Chase, it's immediately apparent. However, I'm not there. What does the person who's there think? Well, I think she thinks this is the perpetrator as well, because you'll see a little moment where the interviewer pulls her hair back. There's no reason for her to pull her hair back. Her hair isn't in her eye. And she does that after the Penelope pit stop, like, yes, which is like the Penelope pit stops. Hey, help, just for the fans out there of Penelope pit stop. There's that extreme look. It's not that you're a liar if you talk like that. It's so out of baseline for her that even the interviewer reacts and pulls back, imagines pulling back her hair. She knows that this is the culprit, I think. When did you first do CPR? There's a head tilt from her on there. So I think she's judging the threat in front of her. By the way, earlier on as well, lots of indirect gestures as well. Look, it's an important thing. Somebody's died. You'd expect if you're being interviewed that you want to give really direct information rather than kind of fluffy and airy and watery information. But she's all, flowery and watery and airy over here, not direct. Then we get, it's 1 o'clock right now. So there's an idea that there's no logic to this. When did you first do CPR? This morning, the head tilts. Then it's 1 o'clock right now. She says, I tried in a heightened tension. Then she composes herself as she thinks to herself, okay, I've got to get this story right now. She says, I was awake, and then there's lots of fillers, but actually ish, whatever, like. So it really goes badly for her from moment one. I think the officer attending here knows this is most likely the person involved. Oh, and then she goes for the Dr. Pepper at the end. Again, notice the way she asked for the Dr. Pepper without any of the emotion that she was trying to put forward around the issue, the death that's gone on. Very strange, very odd. We've got a live one here.
Each of them has to, so this might be a real thing. So each of them has to put their name in.
I just put everybody.
Yeah, you call it working.
What's going on? I just got here, so fill me in.
No problem. Like,
Yeah,
he and I are putting a puzzle together. We've been doing some artwork together.
You are putting a puzzle together?
Yes, we have a puzzle that we started in there.
Okay.
We've been doing art, trying to take stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we were drinking, we had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay.
So then it's like, we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase, okay?
Who is this guy?
That's my ex-husband, my former husband.
How did he live here with you guys?
No, I called him over here.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So then he came over here.
Here, let's talk in private, okay?
I called you guys. I tried giving him CPR. The problem is I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes.
1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. That's when I found him. I took him out. I tried doing CPR, and then I called him, and then I called you guys.
Did he get here before the fire department got here?
Who?
Your husband? Or your ex-husband?
Yes.
Okay. Where did he live at?
Right down the street.
Okay. So you were playing and who zipped him up?
I did, but then I fell asleep.
Okay. You're okay. I wasn't here. I'm just trying to figure out what
I
happened.
fell asleep. I don't know if he's suffocated or like had an aneurysm or a heart attack or
What kind of
what.
medical conditions did he have?
None that I know of.
Nothing that you know of.
None
You
that
didn't
I
take
know
any
of.
medical
No,
last night?
no.
No medical.
All we had was a bottle of wine. Literally, just a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Doing puzzles, artwork. Then we decided to play hide and seek. That's all that happened.
Okay.
So I don't know if he had a heart attack or what in there. Like, I don't know what happened.
So how long were you doing CPR on him prior to you calling 911? You tried that all morning?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I called him while I was
What
doing
time
CPR.
did you start? Probably give me a rough ballpark. Here, let me fill this at the end, okay?
Please, may I have my Dr. Pepper? I am
Hold
so
on,
hot now
one
right now.
So
He's
you
a
guys
Dr.
second to
Pepper.
kind of collect yourself. Tell it to me again. You guys were playing last night, drinking a bottle of wine,
Putting puzzles together, doing
doing
artwork.
puzzles, artwork.
I had a bottle of wine and then decided to play hide and seek.
Mhm.
So he
What
gets,
time was that? Do you remember?
I mean, I know that I was in bed probably by like what, 12:30?
Okay.
Well, I went upstairs at least and I fell asleep.
Okay.
Forgetting that he was
So
in
you
the
guys were
suitcase.
playing the hide and go seek.
Yes.
And at some point you put him in the suitcase?
No, he got in the suitcase. So
Okay.
he thought it'd be funny to be put in the suitcase. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to joke with you and I'll zip you up and make him, squirm a little bit, whatever it is. But then I fell asleep.
Mhm.
I fell asleep.
Where was the suitcase?
Right
You
where
got
it
in
is.
Right down there?
Yes.
You zipped him in there?
Yes.
Thought it would be funny, a little
It
joke.
was. We both were laughing about it. And then
Okay.
I fell asleep
Where did you fall asleep at?
upstairs.
In your bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally forgetting that he was in the suitcase still.
Okay. And then you came back downstairs
This morning or this
around
afternoon, yes, when I got up.
ballpark, what time?
12:30-ish. I was awake, but I totally forgot that he was in the suitcase. He can tell you there's a lot of things that we think of jobs,
Yeah, he did tell me. some
life,
domestic
all that good stuff. So I just
So
totally
you
forgot.
began to do CPR on him?
Yes. Yes.
About
And he
what time
gurgled.
this morning
He
did you
gurgled.
start doing that CPR?
No, it was the afternoon. It was afternoon
The
because
afternoon?
I was awake. But then I finally decided to come downstairs at like 12:30-ish, whatever it is. And I was like, I forgot he was in the suitcase and he wasn't moving. Nothing was happening. So I unzipped it, took him out and started doing CPR on him.
Mm-hmm.
He was on his way over here. I called you when he got here.
Once he got here, you called
Yes.
us? Okay.
And air was coming out and he was gurgling, but
Mhm.
I could just tell by looking at him.
But you knew how to do CPR? You doing that on your own?
Yes.
Okay.
And then
All
the
right.
person that was on the phone with me also, I counted with him doing
And
it.
he's got no medical? He doesn't take any
I
medication?
don't know. I don't know medical wise. I know
Right there. I knew she was lying out her damn mouth when she said medical. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. They've been together for like 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And you don't know if your boyfriend is on any medications that he lives with you. That's a bold-faced lie, Sarah Boone.
he doesn't take any medications whatsoever.
Okay.
Well, he
the only
doesn't take
thing,
any.
like I said,
She doesn't know.
I don't know if alcohol had something to do with it, but we had a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Oh, you know Sarah Boone. And they had 1 bottle of wine, which means they had 4 glasses of wine total. So either she had 1, he had 3, they both had 2. You get the drift.
All right. Cheers. I want you to sit back down because I don't want
Can I
you
have one more sip of water,
Yeah,
please?
go on.
Look at her. There she goes in that ticket.
I'll do what I can to get you a cup because I don't want you to have to keep doing that. motor unit on the channel. The cops are like right there.
You're straddling that bush.
044 motor unit right here. Don't talk to the ex-husband right now. I won't. Can I have a cigarette, please? Ma'am.
Can I have a cigarette?
Anything out of the house. It's on the back porch. Nope. All of it.
Just like every criminal we've ever seen and we've ever encountered on this channel, the cops give you one little thing, you know, they give you something because they're trying to be good people. They let her drink out of the spigot. Now, all of a sudden, forget about the Dr. Pepper on the counter, right? She wants a cigarette.
Sure, okay. I'll try my best to get you what you need, okay? Maybe one of these deputies has a pack from someone, you know, sit down and I'll try and get you what you need, okay? Just cut, please. Okay. I don't want you on your feet.
All right. If you don't know who we are, we're the Behavior Panel. And I'm Scott Rouse. I'm a body language expert and analyst, and I train law enforcement in the military in interrogation and body language. And I created the truecrimeworkshop.com, which is the only online true crime course you can take with Greg Hartley. Mark?
I'm the only true crime markbowden.com. Help people all over the world stand out, win trust, gain credibility every time they communicate, including some of the leaders of the G7. ChaseHughes.com.
Hi, I'm Chase Hughes. I specialize in false crimes. I did 20 years in the U.S. military. I wrote the #1 best-selling book on behavior profiling, influence, and persuasion, and I teach those things to people to change their lives today. Greg?
Greg Hartley. I'm a former Army interrogator, interrogation instructor, resistance to interrogation instructor, written 10 books on body language and behavior, and I spend most of my time on Wall Street, corporate America.
All right. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, lovely. So just a couple of things on this. She says she zipped it up, make you squirm a little bit, whatever it is. Make you squirm a little bit, whatever it is. So I love this phrase of whatever it is that she uses. She uses it on 12:30 as well. Came down 12:30, whatever it is. So by the way, I think the attending officer here doing a fantastic job of getting a lot of information out of her. I'm not in this position, but if I were, I would want to get more information out of her on what do you mean, whatever it is? Not only within this act of putting somebody in a suitcase, you know, why whatever it is? What more is there to that? Because clearly it isn't about making you squirm a little bit. The whatever it is suggests there's something else, something more. The whatever it is on 12:30 suggests it's not quite accurate. It isn't exactly that. So that's where I want to jump in on that. Whatever it is, it's indefinite, it's indirect. There's a point to jump in and go, so what exactly do you mean by that? Or what really were your intentions around this? Greg, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, Mark, I love that because anytime there's something we don't understand, we should clarify. And it might mean nothing to what we always say about all this stuff, guys. It might not mean a single thing, but it might. It might be the thing that unhinges the entire story. So if it's filler, filler is there for a reason. If it's something to hide something, it's there for a reason. Interesting to me, when she comes in, she's got a look of disbelief. I'm sorry, standing beside her. First of all, let's go back and talk about the law enforcement officer who's not talking to her and look at the disbelief on his face. Look at him doing the chained elephant. And that look of, he's just come out of the house. There's a guy in a suitcase, unimaginable kind of a thing. So he's just sitting there going, okay, whatever. Then you see him kind of looking down to his right. There's an emotional eye accessing. Then you see her come out and she goes to emphatic approval when you deliver her message. When she said, hide and go see, yes, there's that emphatic again. We keep seeing her do that. Anytime you're delivering her message, she's emphatic. Now, she does mouth touching when she gets to this point. I forgot he was in the suitcase. That's comforting for some people. Could be thinking, but we're going to see her pressing on her skin, on her face a lot of times. And we're going to see her that progressively rise up, not from down low, but the more apprehensive people get, often the more you'll see their shoulders rise, things get tighter and higher. You hear their voices rise. Mark, you always say when they get to that respiration, when it gets so light that their voice starts coming out from here and not below, you see all that in her as we start this whole thing. She's iterative storytelling. When she touches her mouth, it could be, oh my God, but I don't think so. I think she's telling a piece and letting it out. She has planned what she's going to say when these people show up. Now, did she talk with her former husband about that? Don't know. But she has planned what she intends to say. The interesting piece, and we all know that she would be our first suspect. We've all said that. But where is the horror or remorse in any of this? That makes you immediately go, okay, she's already planning what she's going to say. And then she says, we've had problems. She's already starting to disparage and chaff. So she's trying to say, boom. Now, this is interesting because later I could use it in interrogation. And I would then ask her, well, maybe you guys had baggage. You wanted him to suffer or what? Whatever you're going to say. I would use that and say, yeah, maybe you didn't intend to kill him. You just wanted to torture him. You want to do this to him. You want to do that. So that's a lead she's giving right now. The cool part is this detective just doesn't pay any, or this officer doesn't pay any attention. She just moves right along. Then the woman moves. Sarah moves across what I call egg protector. She crosses her primary sex organs, by that I mean her ovaries, with her arm to protect, and she touches her mouth. Those are red flags. Now, there's also the part where she is hungover, clearly. All that water, all that needs for the water, she's hungover. So there's all kinds of things going on with that. Then she says, we had a bottle of wine, just like people have 2 drinks when they're pulled over for DUI. That's what I think. Scott, what do you got?
All right. This is where we sort of get a little bit more into the story, a little deeper into the story. When she answers the questions, her answers are much too fast. There should be a sense of urgency, but not like bang, not like right out of the gate like that. So that tells you that she's probably got these just moments before that. She's prepped these because she can see these questions coming, and she's making sure to get her point across about falling asleep for like the 40th time. We'll see it 1,000 more times in here. She puts her hand up to her mouth, and we do that to help calm us down. It's sort of an adapter. When we touch our lips, that sends a signal to the brain to relax. And so that's what she's doing. We see her touch, as we go through this, we'll see her touch her face, rubber mouth, rubber face, all those kinds of things. Those are the things that are going to help her calm down and get rid of that built up stress or tension. And then she's hoping to high heaven that this guy's had a stroke or a heart attack while he's in there, because she's saying, I don't know, maybe he's had a stroke or a heart attack, in other words. So she's hoping this thing has gone wrong on his end, so she doesn't get nailed for it. I don't know what they would call it at this point. I don't know if it'd be murder or manslaughter or what. She hopes she doesn't get nailed for that. My favorite part, though, is when she drinks out of the water faucet there on the end, and she wipes her chin, wipes her whole face and her nose off on her shoulder. I mean, we used to do that in like the 5th grade when we're out running around and stuff. So it's odd seeing an adult do that. So she must be, at this point, really thirsty, obviously, but in a situation where her limbic system is just on fire right now, and she's heating up and getting thirsty and in sort of a panic mode. But I think you're right, Greg. We're not seeing the emotions on her face that we see, the expressions. We're not seeing what we should be seeing on that. There's a lot missing from here. And from video 1 to here, like we've all said, it's deception. Something's up. You can see it on her. Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree with all y'all. I'll just add 2 things here. The emotion that she's experiencing is all about her experience. So I think that is a cornerstone of this first police officer contact deception. She redirects to the details and quickly runs through the experience of finding him very quickly. And when you see this little increase in speed, keep in mind, it depends on who you're talking to. It's typically a desire to get something that's rehearsed out as fast as possible. It shortens the amount of time that person is experiencing stress. As far as I know, there's no research for this, but I think human beings are not all the same. And I hope you would at least agree with that. And that means not all are identical specimens that can be perfectly replicated in a lab, which is why some of these things are not in peer-reviewed research. We can't duplicate that stuff. So in situations like this, experience is very important. And I believe he probably got into the suitcase on his own. I do believe that. How? I have no idea. But she's calm when she's talking about that one detail. This mouth covering behavior is very common in people who've lost somebody and they're trying to make a statement, except that in this video, it's out of place in this clip. It's in all the places we would expect emotion, and there's not much emotion at all. And in most cases, you would see it during the discovery of the body and during talking about this shocking moments, more likely when we're going to see mouth covering behaviors. Here we see it all over the place, specifically in the moments that are potentially deceptive. And just for the record, she hasn't mentioned his name one time yet. She says him and he.
So you had a second to kind of collect yourself. Tell it to me again. You guys were playing last night, drinking a bottle of wine.
Putting puzzles together, doing artwork.
Artwork.
I had a bottle of wine and then decided to play hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
So
What time was that? Do you remember?
I mean, I know that I was in bed probably by 12:30.
Okay.
Well, I went upstairs at least, and I fell asleep, forgetting that he was in
you
the
guys were
suitcase.
playing the hide and go seek.
Yes.
And at some point, you put him in the suitcase?
No, he got in the suitcase. So he thought it'd be funny to be put in the suitcase. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to joke with you and I'll zip you up and make him, squirm a little bit, whatever it is. But then I fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
I fell asleep.
Where was the suitcase?
Right where it is.
Right down there?
Yes.
You zipped him in there?
Yes.
Thought it would be funny a little bit?
It was. We both were laughing about it.
Okay.
And then I fell asleep.
Where did you fall asleep at?
Upstairs.
In your bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally forgetting that he was in the suitcase still.
Okay. And then you came back downstairs?
This morning? Or this afternoon, yes, when I got up.
What time?
12:30-ish. I was awake, but I totally forgot that he was in the suitcase. He can tell you there's a lot of things that we have been going through. Jobs.
Yeah, he did tell me.
Life, all that good stuff. So I just totally forgot.
You began to do CPR on him?
Yes. Yes.
About what time this morning did you start doing that CPR?
No, it was after.
So life came up, and that's what just distracted her from waking him up or getting him, out of the suitcase.
Afternoon. It was afternoon because I was awake, but then I finally decided to come downstairs at 12:30-ish, whatever it is. And I was like, I forgot he was in the suitcase and he wasn't moving. Nothing was happening. So I unzipped him, took him out and started doing CPR on him.
Over and over again.
He was on his way over here. I called you when he got here.
Once he got here, you called us?
Yes.
Okay.
And air was coming out and he was gurgling, but I could just tell by looking at him.
But you knew how to do CPR. You doing that on your own?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the person that was on the phone with me also, I counted with him doing it.
And he's got no medical? He doesn't take any medication?
I don't know. I don't know medical-wise. I know he doesn't take any medications whatsoever.
Okay.
The only thing, like I said, I don't know if alcohol had to do with it, but we had a bottle of wine.
Okay. All right. Cheers. I want you to sit back down because I don't want
Can I
you.
have one more sip of water,
Yeah,
please?
go.
Residential 29 residential audible 1303 Island Bay Drive.
I'll do what I can to get you a cup because I don't want you to have to keep doing that.
The statement should have a proper cancel medication in the front door. Straight to that first Team motor unit on the channel.
The cups are like right there.
044 motor unit.
Right here. Don't talk to the ex-husband right
Oh,
now. Okay?
oh,
Can't take anything out of there.
Ma'am, I can't take anything out of the house.
It's on the back porch.
Nope. All of it. It's secure. Okay. I'll try my best to get you what you need. Okay. Maybe one of these deputies has a pack from someone. Sit down and I'll try and get you what you need. Okay.
Just cut, please.
Okay. I don't want you on your feet.
She looks like she's relaxing to me. I'm just taking a little.
It's natural. You're nervous.
I'm
You
not
have
nervous.
anxiety. You're scared, right?
What's her first say?
I don't know how to try to do it.
It's okay. You don't have to.
I don't know how to. I'm just waiting for whoever, so.
I can tell you this. I'm going to be here just as long as you are, including my. It'll be a while. I'm welcoming this rain right now. It's kind of warm. All right. So just bear with us.
I know.
All right.
If you could like give me whatever updates or anything that you know of, that's just how I work, so I know kind of what.
Let me look at my computer. See.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
This video is just a person seeking some kind of update to her status. Nothing to do with the case, nothing to do with the discovery, nothing to do with the police. It's all about what's going to happen to me. And people who are honest have no problem saying what's going to happen to me, what's going on with me, when can I go, when can I go home, I'm getting out of here. People who are guilty have a hard time asking that question. A, they probably don't want to know the answer. And B, they don't want to look suspicious because they feel suspicious already. That's all I got on that one. Mark?
Yeah, nice. Look, and I think these officers are great, by the way, in my opinion. This guy, I think he knows he's got the perpetrator as well. Because here's what he says. He says, you're nervous, anxiety, scared, right? He doesn't say you're upset, you're distraught, you're in shock. Because, you know, if somebody had died in my home, especially somebody who I had a really, really strong relationship with, I would be upset, I would be distraught, I would be in shock for sure. He doesn't mention any of those things because I don't think he's seeing any of those things. And I think he knows why he's not seeing any of those things. What he sees is nervousness, anxiety, and fear, scared. And he calls them out. Well, just as you were saying, Chase, she's looking for information. She wants to know, can you give me any updates? And so, yeah, he kind of calmly goes over to his pal and says, yeah, I'll look on my computer, see what I can find for you there. Super calm. Great officer. Greg, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, she's doing a lot of adapting here. When we say adapting, it can be any kind of nervous energy release. And I often say it's a way to make the unknown known, the uncomfortable comfortable. In my years of working around prisoners, when you capture people, those things really, really roll up because now they're in a new place. They have to make themselves comfortable. Maybe playing with their nails, twirling their hair, pinching themselves, all kinds of stuff. And you're seeing that showing up in her. She's trying to make herself comfortable. She's starting what I call her intelligence collection about what's happening. Look, most of us have not been involved with the death of a loved one. And so we are, especially with a police investigation. So what's next? I think you're right, Chase. It's normal, but whether she's being deceptive about all the details about what happened or not, it's clear that she's admitted she's been involved. So she's asking what's next. What she isn't asking that's interesting is what's going to happen to him. What's next? When does his body get taken care of? Where does that go? And if you're really close to somebody, there's no rub, none of that. You think a lot about that person who is lying back there and something has happened to, whether you caused it or not. So it makes you then start to wonder, yeah, she's not the warmest of people about this guy. So then that gives me a reason to ask those questions later. We're building a profile of who this person is as we go into interrogation. Once you get into interrogation, things change. And remember, what she has done is identified him as not authority. She's talking to him like a guard. She's not talking to him like somebody who is collecting information. That's an interesting piece of it because she talked to that other officer very differently. In an interrogation, we plug guards into cells who befriend our prisoners and they give them information all the time. It's a powerful tool. Scott, what do you got?
All right. Since you guys have covered most everything, I'll talk about why she's sitting there. They're doing a great job of just letting her sit there. Here, you sit over here. We'll be back in a few minutes and let that stuff wind up in her brain and let her bounce all that stuff around. And I'm under the impression it's not a very big brain because of the way because of her vernacular sentence structure and the things she repeats. I don't think we're dealing with somebody who's super smart here. No offense to anybody and all that, but she's not very smart. I think we're going to see that come through a little bit later on as well.
Ain't that the truth?
In a really big way. She's talking about how she's dizzy and she's weak because she's worried. And her brain is starting to like I was saying before, is loop up and start looping that thing. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? She's not worried about her physical appearance, how she looks to other people. A lot of times in situations like that, you don't. But the way she's sitting and the way she's wiping her face on her chin and all those kind of things, there's something. I think something's missing here anyway. Right out of the gate with this person, it seems to me like. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist. But that behavior looks a little bit odd to me. That lack of worrying how you look to others. I know when something dramatic or traumatic happens, we don't care what we look like. That's the last thing on her mind. She's had time to sit there and think, and straighten up and at least get some composure about her. She has none. However,
she's pretty hungover too.
Yeah, that could be 90% of it. Could be she's hungover. But again, she's not showing the right. Like Mark was saying, she's not showing the emotion she should be showing. She's not showing anything. She's just. I mean, that should be there. It's just somebody sitting there on the sidewalk worried about what's going to happen to them.
It's natural. You're nervous. You have your anxiety. You're scared, right?
I don't know how to have it.
It's okay. You don't have to.
I don't know how to. I'm just waiting for whoever, so.
I can tell you this. I'm going to be here just as long as you are, including my. It's gonna be a while. I'm welcoming this breeze right now. It's kind of warm. All right, so just bear with us.
I know.
All right.
If you could like give me whatever updates or anything that you know of, that's just how I work, so I know like kind of what.
Well, let me look at my computer. See. She wants to say something. She wants to call. Come on.
Well, don't know anything though.
Now, those people, when you see those people in those outfits, that's when you start to act on your best behavior, Sarah Boone.
Like why or how? So we will not know the answer to that because we're not. So what's gonna happen is he's gonna go to the medical examiner's office and he'll have what's called an autopsy. Yeah. That'll be first thing tomorrow morning. I'll know a lot, hopefully a lot more tomorrow morning as far as him. But I cannot. There's no way I could say how, why. So just by looking at him, like, why is he purple? Oh, that's normal when someone passes away. Avidity turn.
Because he did, Sarah Boone.
As soon as the heart stops beating, the blood starts to settle to the lowest points of the body. And then it becomes very pronounced. So that's just called a suffocated. What happens every night.
Yeah, these are the detectives.
I'm like really scared. I want you guys to know that.
You have all these deputies here, so while we're here, nothing's going to happen to you. Before we go and make any notifications, you'll have plenty of time to leave or do what you need to do. Whatever you need to do. Okay? And we'll talk about that more in length. But yeah, it's not going to be a surprise.
Real quick, and then, but like, I don't like this was totally like not intentional. Like, that's what I'm scared about too. Like,
we'll have all the answers. We'll have a lot more answers tomorrow after.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because here we're going to see the difference. Now we've been talking to patrolmen or officers, whatever they call, wherever they are, and they are there to sequester the scene, to make sure nobody crosses, to make sure everything's safe, and that nothing else happens in effect. They'll collect information, but the detectives, when they show up, are going to go after information immediately. I don't know if she can tell the difference. I know she knows that there's somebody else, but I don't know that she understands that delineation. A lot of people don't. And if you're ever dealing with a crime, you'll have to pay attention to know that difference. There's a lot of nervous energy, and there should be here for her. She's doing that thing I call the egg protector, and she's face touching a lot. She should be nervous because something's just changed. She may even be biting her nail. I couldn't tell. Whether she knows her now or not now, these guys are driving everything that happens. She starts trying to collect and tell. She starts asking them questions. Do you know why? That's a really dangerous game if you are the perpetrator and you are in this situation. Because if I were talking to her, elicitation immediately, I would turn around and go, what would your guess be, Sarah? Boom. I would turn it right around on her. Or I would do a provocative statement. Well, we think it's cause, boom, just to see how she responded. That's awkward. And I think it's very difficult the way they respond. When they first start to respond, the woman says that, well, we'll know a lot more tomorrow as far as him. You could easily have just said, hey, what can you do to help us out? But they don't. They start down a different path, and we'll see where that goes over time. But As she gets more apprehensive, the thing I was just telling you, she's a great example of it because all this part of her body, all of the muscles from like intercostals and up are tightening and drawing her up to the point where her hands are in front of her face and she's shrinking. She's turning into this little image of herself, not even the same person. So she's now gone from a single mouth barrier to double praying hands at her mouth, showing that she's feeling more stress and she's rising. And when that isn't enough sacred space, what I mean by sacred space is barriering and releasing nervous energy. She does both hands to her mouth. And then she does something really idiosyncratic. I'd look for this again. She does that thing where her chin boss pushes out and she puts her like a little hamster or something. She puts her hands up under her jaw. It's a really weird thing that I've not seen that in people. So it's something for her. And then the guys say, while we're here, nothing's going to happen to you. They're already starting to move in the position of protector and caregiver and that. I'm not going to go over and over much more of this because there's a lot in here, but I do see her lower lip withdraw. And then I think this woman sees authority as like a kid talking to a principal. And I think if you play that right, you get something. If you play that wrong, you lose them. Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, we're seeing a whole lot of fear. So if you just if you rewatch this clip with no sound and just say, are arteries and organs being protected regularly here? We're seeing a lot of that. And I think it's interesting. We hear the phrase, and I think I'm quoting this directly, like totally not intentional, like, which I thought was pretty interesting. And she's vacillating here, like Greg was saying, between the uterus and neck protection, back and forth, covering neck, covering the lower abdomen. And instead of using his name, she just becomes curious about the gurgling sound. Why? Not stressed about it, not worried about it, not traumatized by it, not shocked by it. Just wants a little science lesson there. I thought that was super strange. This is where if I'm the detective, I might have a prop and have like one of those little tiny digital voice recorders and say, does this belong to you or your boyfriend? Do you know who placed it in the kitchen last night? Do you know why it was left on all night? And that just plants a mind virus. I might use like maybe a punishment, or I'm sorry, not a punishment question. I might use a leading question about this voice recorder. Maybe why was this left in the kitchen? Of course, she's not going to say it's hers. And this is planting a mind virus that she could not escape from, knowing that there is some kind of recording that could exist about what happened in that room last night. Just an interesting trick, I would say. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, you preempted me there, Chase, on the fillers. Normally, I preempt you. This time, you got in there early. However, I believe in my estimation, you missed a couple out. What I got was, but like, this was totally not intentional, like, and then another like. In my estimation, there were a couple more likes in there, which only add more spice to what you've already stated there. For me, you know, if you like the Penelope pit stop, we now have, for the English viewers, a Vicky Pollard, which is this no but yeah, but no but yeah, but going on. I think that's what we have here. Once we get that, that's a surefire sign that there is somebody in big trouble here, because really all you need to say, instead of but like this was totally not intentional, like, and then another like, I mean, there's bits in between, but those are the fillers. All you need to say was this was an accident. That's all. This was an accident. But there's so many fillers and negatives in there, or double negatives, that there's a red flag up for me. And that's all I got on that one. Scott, what do you got?
I agree, Mark. I think there's a little Britain in her.
Yeah, there is.
Anyway, so now she's back to looking worried, and she wants to know what the cops know. So her body language has gone back, like you guys have been saying, to this protection mode, and she's covering her stomach and she's touching her face, and I'm just going over what you guys have gone over before. But she's very still up to a point. To compared to what she's been through so far, she's very still until it goes off the rail, not off the rails, but starts getting sort of hyped up here in a couple of minutes. Then we see some more of the classic stress behaviors with the adapters, rubbing her arm, pulling on her arm, her hands covering her neck. And Greg, I've seen little children do that. She does a lot of things little kids do. So that's, I don't know. That's the only time I've seen that is just when I just remember when I first saw it, I said, oh, I know a little kid that used to do that when she was a little kid. And also, when the detective is explaining how she'll have time to do the things she needs to do, she says, run. And I thought for sure that somebody would call it out and go, yeah, like she's going to run off. But I think she's probably a runner. Looking at those shorts he has on. Maybe she exercises, maybe she jogs or something, or runs around the neighborhood or something. But I think that's what she's talking about at that point. But she's not thinking about running off, like fleeing or anything like that. You guys covered most everything, so I'll leave it there. That's good,
I'm gonna fast forward through this part because it would be just us watching this same part again with them her talking to the police. But I do want to get it to the actual analysis part. Wait, right here, maybe.
And here is common. This is us coming out.
Protocol.
Yeah, his age, no real medical history that we
I know of.
For him to have passed away, we cannot.
I know.
Yeah. We come out and do an investigation. Medical examiner's office, we send people out. This is what we do. If he was 75 years old and had a history of heart condition, we wouldn't be here.
I don't know what it is.
Exactly, and that's what we're here to find out. We just here to get the answers. The answers that you want, the answers that his family's
I
gonna
just
want.
really want to see my son. Like, I really need to see my son. I mean, I know I can't go anywhere, but right.
Cause she maybe put a bra on. What's up with everybody not wearing bras? I'm gonna start doing it. Don't make me threaten people.
So do I just like sit out here and wait for you guys?
If you would, yeah. Please.
You can always tell when a girl don't wear her bra because she has her hands up to her little cheeks to cover her boobs. Like if you're not gonna wear a bra, just be loud and proud about it. Be like, here they are, here I am. Stand up straight.
Is anybody else having to show up, or everybody's here that needs to be here? My team's here that needs to be here. The medical examiners will.
Well, I guess
show
if
up when
she
we call
would have
them, but
put
we're not
one
ready for them yet. So they're
That probably would have looked a little bad if she did put a bra on, though, I guess, But I mean, I would have.
gonna take him. They're gonna take some photos, take him, but that's towards the end of it. And they'll be called well in advance when we're ready for them. But we're not ready for them at this point, so we won't be calling them quite yet. Okay. So like I said, I gotta go do some paperwork. They're gonna chat with some people, and then we're gonna come back and talk to you if you're okay with that. Yes, so just give us a little bit more time. Like I said, I need to go and do that, and you can go do more time. Like I said, I need to go and do that, and you can go do
But do you guys tell his family like today or after tomorrow?
You have to. It's the
By
law.
law, we have to go make contact with the family.
Yeah.
They have to notify us.
Once our investigation is pretty much complete here, once we leave here, we will be going.
She says they're gonna kill me when they find out or something.
Gonna just go into it without you knowing. You'll know. We'll talk to you prior to doing anything like that.
But I understand what you guys and how you do it, and so, but like, what do you just tell him? What do you tell his parents? Like, what's the reason as to why?
We tell them what we know at that point.
Yeah.
We tell them the truth.
And that we're going to be waiting for the autopsy results, and I will be at the autopsy in the morning, and hopefully the doctor will be able to give me some of what they think and see.
Yeah. We'll give them their number. They can contact them and get it from them.
So yeah, they're gonna know what we're here, what we're investigating, and that they're gonna think I killed him.
Why would they think that?
They always have said that. They've always have said that.
What have they
I
said?
told you it's because I'm the blue-eyed white dragon. That's what they call me, because they don't want him with me. So he's basically just not really been around his family because he chooses me over them. Even after I've encouraged him numerous times to go over there and see his family. They were unforgiving South Korea, where they never accepted me, and everybody in his family has tried to kick my ass, so especially his sister. He had to pull her off me one time.
Do you have somewhere safe that you can go tonight?
Both my parents are deceased. My grandparents are deceased.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
All right, so I'm going to do something way different with this video than we've ever done before. I'm going to build a behavior profile just using one video. Then we'll test the hypothesis on the interrogation video when that one comes out. So we see opening behaviors in here, but we only see opening body behaviors when she's doing good things, when she's saying he chooses me over them. I encouraged him to talk to his family. We're seeing open behaviors. We see self-soothing behaviors at points of social discomfort, family finding out, investigation data, and how she's being perceived. That's when she's saying things like, they never accepted me. She starts rubbing her arm up and down here very gently. Finally, we see protective and fearful behaviors, which means the body is somehow protecting arteries, joints, and organs, those three things. And we see that around his family threatening her about finding out about case details, desiring more information from the detectives. So here's what the profile might say, just based on these alone. Let's look at a potential profile so far. She's socially driven. She wants to be seen as a positive force in his life, very easily scared with threats of how she might be perceived by others. This might come in handy in the interrogation room. She's going to react very positively to compliments about her taking care of other people and being a good person in general. So just from this one video, we formed a tiny little behavior profile. Let's see if it can help us out in the interrogation. Scott, what do you got?
All right. Well, along with the behaviors we've seen so far, she's doing two things. Number one, she's trying to figure out if they're starting to talk about this like it's a murder. With the questions she's asking, she's trying to find out if they're going, I think you're in big trouble. And it's not connecting with them because I don't think they're listening properly. But that's what she's trying to do. And number two She's beginning to create her protection story. This thing she's going to stand behind and say, here's what actually happened. That's the story that's going to help build this protective wall against her and whatever the onslaught is that's coming toward her. And she knows this again. She talks about how the family's going to talk negative about how they call her the white dragon and all kinds of stuff. She's fought with his sister and those types of things. So she's basically circling the wagons, getting ready for the big fight on this. Greg, what do you got?
I think you give her too much credit, honestly. I think what she is worried about is an ass whipping by somebody who thinks she murdered their son, brother, whatever it is. Yeah. I think when she said run earlier, she was talking about run from the family because she's fearful of what's going to happen. I think she's so focused on that, Scott, I don't think she sees half of what we see. Because the only reason I say that is because she goes, you actually see shock when they said, yes, we will tell them what we know. First time we've seen shock. And for me, that's interesting because it tells me she's focused on something other than the fact these guys may arrest her. Like, look, what we can't tell, all this body language we're seeing, we can't tell what's in her head. We can't tell what her intent was. We can tell she was involved. She's got all this classic symptoms we all are hearing. But what we can't tell is what's going on in her head. And then she does shock here. And then she goes to internal conversation as she listens and trying to figure out what they mean when they say we're going to tell them what we know. And then she says, they'll think I did it. And the first good question I've heard yet from these two is, why would they think that? Why would they think that? That's powerful. And there's some good baseline. You guys are all on it. She's open. She's doing this baseline when she's saying, they'll think I did it. I chose him over me, or he chose me over them. And then the barriers and all that, when she talks about their family, is why I don't think she understands the gravity of the situation. I think she's more worried about what they're going to do than the fact she might spend the rest of her life in prison. Just my opinion. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah. So often when you're thinking about somebody's behavior, you can look into what other people have predicted about their behavior. Now, of course, that's hearsay, essentially, and it's never going to stand up in a court, or it shouldn't stand up in a court. But it is part of some of the data that you can take in as part of a bigger intelligence system. So there is a predicted pattern of behavior from the in-laws. They're going to think I've killed him. They have always said that. Well, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Now, we don't know whether that's true, that they have said that. And we don't know whether it's true that their observation or their theory is right. But it's an interesting coincidence, isn't it, that these two things match up. Then she trips over, because I think you're right, I don't think she's quite intelligent enough to do this on purpose, but she trips over a couple of images there. She says that she is the belied, or she pronounces it belied, which is an interesting word to use. I think I'm correct in that she uses the word belied, the belied white dragon. Well, so I don't know whether she remembers doing Shakespeare's sonnet 130 at school. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun's, where there's the idea of the belied with false compare, the idea that you have been called something bigger and more grandiose than what you are. So it's interesting she puts forward this grandiose idea of a white dragon, because, she could have said, look, they think I'm just dirt, or they think I'm just, a virus or a wretch or something. But no, it's a big, grandiose white dragon. White dragon, interesting symbol as well. Usually in Chinese mythology, put right next to death, omen of death, ferocious power. In the Norse and the Saxon mythology, it's put next to Wotan, which is an oppressive power. So the white dragon is something that oppresses so much that it ends in death. So that's an interesting image that she just tripped over. If anybody is ever interested in Jungian psychology, here's potentially a good example of it just flourishing and blossoming in front of us. There we go. That's all I've got on that one.
So the Wotan clan is part of that?
Yeah. Yes, different Wotan.
Oh, that's not the same thing.
Yes.
Okay. More time. Like I said, I need to go and do that. So, like, you guys tell his family, like, today or after tomorrow? You have to. It's so long.
We have to go make contact with the tenant.
Yeah.
They have to be notified.
Once our investigation is pretty much complete here, once they leave here, we will be going to.
But again, you'll know. I'm not going to just go and do it without you knowing. You'll know. We'll talk to you prior to doing anything like that.
But I understand what you guys and how you do it, and, so, but, like, what do you just tell him? What do you tell his parents? Like, what's the reason passed away?
We tell them what we know at that point.
Yeah.
We tell them the truth.
And that we're going to be waiting for the autopsy results, and I will get the autopsy in the morning, and hopefully the doctor will be able to give me some of what they think and see.
We'll give them their number. They can contact them and get it from them.
So yeah, they're gonna know what we're here, what we're investigating, and that they're gonna think I killed him.
Why would they think that?
They always have said that. They've always have said that.
What have they
I told you it's because
They've always said that.
White dragon.
They've always said I'm going to kill him. Oh well,
because they don't want him with me. So he's basically just not really been around his family because he chooses me over them.
Jorge, you made the wrong decision, buddy.
Even after I've encouraged him numerous times to go over there and see his family. They never accepted me. They unforgiving, where they've never accepted me, and everybody in his family has heard to kick my ass, so especially his sister. He had to pull her off me one time. Do you have somewhere safe that you can go tonight? Both my parents are deceased. My grandparents are deceased.
All right, now let's start around the room and talk about what we think we've seen so far. Let's try to wrap it up in 30 seconds or less. Mark, you want to go first?
Yeah, if she wants us to think that she is not heavily involved in this, it didn't go well from the start on this. And I think the officers who showed up right at the start, we're getting a sense of that. Let's see where the investigators take it, but not a good start, I would say. Chase, what do you think?
So I'm going to give you one nugget here. You should probably write this down because it's a good one, I think. This comes down to, does the person reasonably feel like they can predict their future? Do they know what's coming next? Guilty people are far less likely to feel like they know what's coming next, or they can predict what's going to happen in their lives the next few days. Innocent people have no problem saying, I'm going to be in bed tomorrow night, and the next night after that, and the next night after that. So a lot of that comes down to that. And we see a whole video here with a person who has their ability to predict the future has gone to zero. Greg?
Yeah, one thing we have to point out is you can be naive and believe all day that you have some control over your life, and believe that simply by saying, I didn't mean to go to sleep, you could be absolved of any involvement in the person's death. That's not how the court system works. I say all the time, interrogation is an intentional outcome desired when you go in. So you're after getting something and finishing it. So this person may feel confident, may feel like she's confident because she doesn't understand the way the court system and the way law works. Every law has elements that you have to satisfy to mean that the person has violated that rule and can be charged. And those can be very tricky. So while she has openly admitted, hey, I put him in the suitcase, I zipped it up, then I fell asleep, it's not my fault. That's not necessarily the way the courts will see it. So she may feel confident and may be in for a rude awakening. Scott, what do you got?
I think this is a great example of seeing somebody who comes into the situation with a story or their idea for a story, but they haven't had enough time to talk about it and think about it, work their way through it, knock the things out of the way that don't sound right, to verify it with themselves yet, make it sound true. And as she goes through, she starts adding these things and these fake emotions to start to look like she's really sincere about how surprised she was about she fell asleep and just can't believe that happened because she fell asleep. I think it's a great example of seeing, but somebody who's not very smart trying to almost take advantage of that. I think, I may be giving her too much credit, but I think it's a great example of seeing somebody get in there and try their hardest to find out what's going on with the cops and trying to find out if they're going to be in trouble or not as they set up this little rinky-dink story to help protect themselves. All right, fellas, I think this was another good one, and we'll see you next time.
And they'll see us next time. Okay. So that was the behavioral panel. I wanted to just go through that was about the Sarah Boone. I figured that they would tell us that her behavior is sus. We already knew that because hello, she admitted what she did. Hello, kitty. Where did you come from? Sorry. Cat just came out of nowhere. He was sleeping with Vincent. Now he's in here. He's like, here I am. I thought he had walked back out, but he didn't. But that's all I think I have for you guys. I wanted to just make this kind of like a shorter live because I do have to. Don't growl at him, Mia. The dog growls at the cat. I don't even think she knows what she's doing when she does it. But I do go to the doctor tomorrow about my foot. So I have the appointment tomorrow. Yeah. So I have to get up early. I have to take Vincent to work and stuff and then go up to Columbus. I'm going to where I haven't been to this doctor. Well, I haven't been to this doctor in forever, but I haven't been to this hospital, this part of Ohio State, this particular hospital. Cause Ohio State has different branches, but I haven't been to this one for years. It's a brand new building, but it's been probably 4 or 5 years since I've been there. So I'm excited to go and get my foot checked out tomorrow because it's been pretty, bothersome. Vincent actually looked at me today. Apparently he hasn't been watching me the last week and a half because today we actually went out together and did things together for the first time in a week and a half. And he was like, you're limping that bad? And I was like, this is a good day. I thought I wasn't limping hardly at all. And I was like, this is good. And he was like, you've been walking the dogs like that? And I'm like, yeah, it takes me 30 minutes to walk them 10 minutes. It usually takes me 10 minutes to take them on a walk. It takes me 30 minutes now. So he's like, you need to go get your foot checked out. So I think it'll go well tomorrow. Only thing I can think of is them, if it's nothing with the metal, then it's nerve damage, and we'll come to that bridge when we get there. But that's kind of why I wasn't online or I wasn't on camera too, because I was really upset earlier tonight just about my foot. I'm nervous, and I didn't almost lose it to them for them to tell me, okay, you're going to keep it, maybe, then having surgery, them almost taking it again to, learning how to walk, and then having to wear these boots and have the shock therapy and learning with a walker and with a wheelchair. And, I don't want that. I asked Vincent today, like he asked me, he said, do you want me to get your wheelchair out? And I was like, I don't want to hear that word. I don't want to hear that sentence ever until I'm ready to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, give me at least another 20 years. Like, that put me at, 58, 68 would be nice. But, give me 58. Thank you guys so much. I know that you guys, with your prayers, it'll be just fine. It'll be just fine. I know, because you guys, y'all are, every time you guys pray for me, it's always good things happen. So I'm very thankful for your prayers. But I think it's either, I just hope it's not nerve damage in a way. I guess the best thing it could be is like my screw is a little loose, but then they have to do surgery. But then if my screw isn't loose in my foot or anything, and there's no metal shifted, it could be like nerve damage. I don't want that. I want to feel my foot again. But thank you guys so much for your prayers. I really appreciate you guys so much. I really, really do. And you guys, I promise, every time, you guys already know, you see it every night when I come on. I'm like, after the doctor or something, every time I ask for a prayer, I come back and I'm like, y'all, it's usually something even better happens. So it's like even better than what I even wish for. But thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I appreciate it. I'll be back on tomorrow to let you guys know what happened. Maybe I'll even do a live during the day if, I can maneuver all that. But if I can't, I'll be back on tomorrow night. But thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you guys all tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.